The Carolina Panthers had a 44.9 defensive grade last year, the worst in the NFL since the 2020 season. So, Dalton, many people thought with that number 8 overall pick and with basically every other pick in the 2025 draft, they spent it on the defensive side of the ball. Instead, what they did was take maybe the best receiver in the NFL draft, Tetairoa McMillan.
Well, counterpoint to that defensive grade, they also had the worst receiving grade in the NFL, right? And that's despite a quarterback that emerged that we'll get into in the second half of last year, played really well, and they started to find some momentum, right? But, I've been saying all offseason that this was the right draft strategy, to take the wide receiver if he was available, Tetairoa McMillan from Arizona, because you can use the rest of the draft on defense, and they certainly did that. Plus, they spent pretty much all their free agency money in defense too, right? So they needed more than one starter, and I understand there was some appealing edge rushers, maybe James Pierce Jr., maybe Jalen Walker. Weirdly, both of those guys wind up in Atlanta, so we'll see the fun back and forth with that. But this team also, look, it wasn't just a weapon, right? They got some decent weapons, Adam Thielen, Jalen Coker, the run game's okay, right? But they needed the weapon. And look, what we're here to do is show you why Tetairoa McMillan is the weapon, the wide receiver one now in Carolina, and that quantitative approach on defense with the later picks in free agency. We could talk about that later, but this guy right here, look, he's everything the Panthers want. He's 6'5", he's 215 pounds, and the biggest thing that you get out of him, he's a vertical weapon, and he was the best vertical weapon in college football over the last couple of years. 10-plus yard targets, right? So we're getting downfield in a lot of different ways. Over the last 2 years, first in receiving grade, first in catches, first in yards, first in contested catches, because being 6'5" would be nice. I don't know what that feels like, but being 6'5", I'm sure is nice. And first in explosive plays. This was the most explosive player in Arizona's offense and the most explosive receiver in the country over the last 2 years. And it's not just that he's big and tall. He's a different type of athlete for that size, right? We see tall guys come out in the NFL draft all the time, but this one is just different. He moves different. I've often loosely thrown around the Mike Evans. Evans is even a little bigger. Drake London's another one, right? But these are special receivers you're talking about keeping the company of. So when you think about McMillan and what he can do down the field, that's what's really going to make the difference in this Panthers offense.
There's so many firsts you see right there on that.
I've never been in first place in this many things in my life.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
this is crazy that he's just so clearly the best downfield receiver. So you want to see some examples of? Let's see some examples of Tetairoa McMillan. Look, sometimes when you have a guy this good, football's really simple. Look, at PFF, we got numbers, we got data, analytics, we got film, we got all the things that can make football so complicated. Sometimes it's simple, okay? All 7 of these guys are blitzing. Every one of them, 0 blitz, okay? This is Arizona versus Utah. Everybody's blitzing, 0 blitz. So what we have against it, 4 verts on offense. Really simple. The back's going to stay in to protect, wherever that is. Go ball. Go ball, my tight end is going to cross the safety's face this way because we're single high. And then, of course, we got Tetairoa McMillan. Okay, sometimes football is really, really simple. If you're fellow short king with Bryce Young, Noah Fafita over there, okay, all you're looking to do is find the best matchup as quick as you can against 0 blitz. Looks like Tetairoa McMillan against press man, and I don't care who the corner is, and we'll get into why in a second. I don't care who the corner is. You get Tetairoa McMillan on a go ball against press coverage, we're launching it. It's that simple, okay? So Noah Fafita, this is right here when he gets to the top of his drop, free runner's coming. We got to get rid of the football, but he knew before the snap, this is where we're going. What's the thing we always say, unless we're talking about Matthew Golden? If he's even, he's leaving. And even if he's not leaving necessarily, that dude's 6'5". Yeah. Just give him a chance. This is the fun part about having a guy like McMillan or Drake London or Mike Evans or T. Higgins, right? Those big guys. Just give him a chance. Just launch this ball somewhere out here, and he's probably going to outjump him, or you're going to throw a perfect ball, and he's still going to reel it in with the body control. First thing we get from McMillan, go ball against a 0 blitz, huge play. It's that simple. Throw him a jump ball. He's a freak of nature. This one's a little more fun. Now, this is where McMillan, when we talk about being a classic X receiver in a scheme, right? Here he is down here, kind of by himself. Obviously, you've got a tight end here, but I believe he's either staying in a block or just running a flat. That's fine. I think he's running in the flat. Up top now, we've got the front side concept where Fafita's going to look first. We've got a scissor. So we're going to run a deep post out here. We're going to get in here, run a corner underneath it here, and then the tight end's going to roll into the flat for a check down. Now, what's going to happen? This is Tampa 2. Safety's going to go deep half. Safety's going to go back deep half. This linebacker is going to run the seam, all right? Everybody else kind of sticking underneath. What you're going to get now is Fafita's going to look to this front side because he wants to see, okay, the safety's going to be over the top of the post. He's going to take it. We're going to drop and drop back so we can protect back first on defense, and we're going to see what this Tampa guy does once he drops back here. And the fun part of this is, the fallback is you always have McMillan down here at the bottom of the screen as the backside, but he's actually not the first read here, and I'm going to show you why. Okay, here we go. We're getting his deep post going, his safety's taking it. We're getting this corner going, but with these two dropping, a lot of times what happens is you get to sit right here in this zone, right? Or maybe right in here and coming out of this break. But what Fafita sees is my Tampa 2 linebacker. See how his back is turned here?
Mm-hmm.
And he's really selling out to this corner. So he either has to thread the needle here to not my number 1 receiver, Tetairoa McMillan, or what we can do, since my Tampa 2 linebacker vacated this space right here, we can get brave. And if I'm going to get brave, I'm going to throw it to number 4. And he's coming on this backside in cut here from the line of scrimmage. That's exactly how the flow of this play is supposed to work. Check the scissors, maybe go to the check down, but I got this freak down here who I trust over the middle of the field too. And the result is, again, right at the top of his drop, you can see him start to load up, throw the ball into this space. We got a completion. And look, it might not have seemed like, because that other guy left, that this was traffic. This is serious traffic that we're threading the needle into. But even if it's a slightly off throw, 6'5", go get it, toughness over the middle, explosive play, we're running down the sideline, right? Those are the types of things. There's 3 things that I want to talk about with McMillan. Go balls, the first play, in cuts, which I think is going to be a big theme, especially for Dave Canales. A lot of things he used to do with Mike Evans in Tampa, and now let's have the fun part. Let's get down to the goal line, Max. Okay, goal line fade, because he's 6'5". We know those big, tall guys, Evans and Higgins and all those guys, right? I want you to tell me. You can see the Buffaloes in the end zone. What was this?
That is Heisman Trophy winner Travis Hunter and number 2 overall pick Travis Hunter.
Number 2 overall pick, best player in the country, one of the best athletes we've ever seen, maybe the best man-to-man corner in the country. Everything we can say and we've said about Travis Hunter before. All right, this is fun. This is when football gets fun. One-on-one. McMillan, Hunter. I do not care what any of the other 20 guys are doing. We're just going to see what happens. And you know what? Even the great Travis Hunter, for as many things as he has, he's not 6'5". Mm-hmm. And when you're dealing with that guy, there's no 6'5" corners. This is what can happen. Down on the corner of the screen here, you throw a solid ball, one hand, back corner of the end zone. Yeah, that's fair. What is even the great Travis Hunter, what is he supposed to do with that, right? On indefensible plays, essentially, when you talk about the things that McMillan can bring you down in the red zone, deep down the field, over the middle, this is why you go get him, right? This is because you've got just this size advantage that can even beat guys like Travis Hunter. The hands are ridiculous, and he can jump out of the gym.
So even though, Dalton, they needed so much help defensively, they also needed to help out Bryce Young, right? A guy who was benched in the beginning of last year, came off the bench and had a really good second half of the season. And now with Tetairoa McMillan as his number 1 receiver, you could have even a bigger year 3.
Yeah, and this is what you talk about now when you think about, okay, the theme there was you can be fearless throwing to a guy like McMillan, right? And what happened when Young came back off the bench was that he got fearless. He said, you know what? You guys have already counted me out through a year and change. You call me short. You call my arm weak. You call me inaccurate. All these things you say, all these bad things you say about me. Let me just come back and let it rip. Come back off the bench and let it rip, even with receivers that, look, again, last in the league in receiving grade. Bryce had every reason to be hesitant coming back off the bench, and he wasn't. And this is what we're talking about when we get to the numbers on this. 10+ yard throws, just like I talked about with McMillan. Best passing grade in football from weeks 9 through 18, actually tied with Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, big cannon of an arm, that makes sense. Bryce Young, Panthers, not great receivers, certainly not Justin Herbert's arm, making it happen. 24 big-time throws. First in the NFL in that stretch. 24 big-time throws here in 9-10 weeks, right? That's incredible. Accurate throw rate, above average. Here's the last one here. Most drops in the NFL on these throws by his receivers, right? So he's making the throws. I just need somebody like Tetairoa McMillan who can go up and get them and make up for it.
And
right?
Tetairoa McMillan had one of the lowest drop rates in college football as well.
You're darn right.
Very reliable.
You saw the hands there against Travis Hunter. You saw the contested catches over the last couple of years against everybody else. So I'm going to give you the same 3 things that we just saw from Tetairoa McMillan, and now you're going to get the same types of throws loosely from Bryce Young. Okay. I'm looking up top here at the top of the screen. We're going to get a little slant in here. We're going to get this fade ball from Adam Thielen out here. Now, a couple of things about this. One high safety, there's Jesse Bates. We're in cover 1, okay? These guys are going. I think maybe one of them is dropping off in here. I'm not too worried about it. The idea is that Bryce, look, Fearless, right? Throwing the ball with conviction. That's what we want to do. We're going to chuck it downfield. There's no better way to do it than, you know what, Adam Thielen? That's A.J. Terrell. That's the Falcons' best corner, one of the best corners in football. Goes, you know what? We're man-to-man. All I have to do is hold the free safety through my drop and give him a chance down the field, right? And I'm going to tell you the conviction that it takes to do this. This is right at the top of Bryce's drop right here. Right at the top of the drop. This is only 4 yards off the line of scrimmage. Usually a goal ball is thrown anywhere from 8 to 14 yards when with the receiver getting downfield. He's 4 yards off the line of scrimmage, and Bryce is already winding up to throw. He goes, you know what? Give him a chance. I held the safety. The safety ain't moving. Let's go. Give him a chance, and you know what he does? Drops an absolute dime. Look at this. This is good coverage. Hardly any space here, and this is the type of big-time throw that Bryce brings on these vertical passes the second half of last year, because honestly, it sounds funny, and there's not a way to quantify it. I've done it the best I can here, but you just throw the football with conviction, and a lot of times it does get to the right spot, right? I want to talk about those in-cuts. Remember, phase 2 of this, we talked about the in-cuts here. And we're just fixing this real quick. Getting to the in-cuts. Now, again, this is going to be man-to-man coverage, okay? We're going to get a little switch off down here. We've got this up top going shallow, and we're going to get right in here, and he's going to get isolated on this safety. We're going to make this in cut. Now, what's going to happen here, the pressure is going to get weird on Bryce because Nick Bolton is going to come, and George Karlaftis here is actually going to drop right into this bubble of space here. We've got some other things going on underneath all of that, but really where we're going to get is this intermediate in cut right here, and it's going to be a tough window to throw this into because I've got off-man coverage with Brian Cook and Karlaftis dropping into this window. Bryce gets into this drop. First of all, pressure's coming. Here comes big Chris Jones coming right down the pipe, right? We got outside leverage here. We got to trust the in-cut to throw it in this space, and we have to get it over Karlaftis, who's the one guy without a man here. But look, again, Bryce, fearless, okay? 2023 Bryce Young probably doesn't throw this football, probably scrambles out and tries to find something else to do. 2024, second half of 2024 Bryce Young, rip this ball right into this space, layer it over Karlaftis' head, beat the inside leverage and anticipate it, and that's exactly what we have, right? You don't see it here, but Karlaftis jumped. He darn near got a hand on this ball. Young layered it over, first down, right? These are the types of things when you go staring down pressure, because look how far he is in the backfield with pressure coming down the pipe. That's what he's got to do is stand in and make these fearless throws. So there's your in-cuts that you can trust McMillan with. And then last one, a little further away from the goal line. But again, sometimes football is simple. See all 6 of these defensive linemen here? They're all coming. Every one of them's coming. Make your option, make a pre-snap read, let it happen. Again, fade ball up here that we're going to throw to the front pylon to David Moore. Down in the red zone, even down here at this point, just abandon it. We got in cuts or whatever else we have going on down here. But pressure's coming. There's going to be a free rusher on this play. Take a chance. Again, press man, one-on-one. This is David Moore right now. Next year, or this season, I should say, it's going to be Tetairoa McMillan. The result when Bryce is dropping dimes like this, look again at the ball placement. This is not bad coverage, but the ball gets just outside towards the front pylon there. That's not bad coverage at all. But when Bryce Young is throwing with conviction and he's playing fearless the way that he was the second half of last year, and now McMillan is in here because okay, so let's say this ball is slightly off. Now I got a 6'5" freak on the outside that can make these things happen and make these plays even more available than they were before. Bryce Young was doing this with the lowest graded receiving core in the league last year. Now he's got a guy who can make all these throws so much easier, and I expect more of it to happen this season.
One of the coolest developments in the NFL last year was Bryce Young's improvement, and like Dalton just said, you just gave him a 6'5" freak in Tetairoa McMillan that should be the new #1 X receiver in the Carolina Panthers offense.